I'm going to say one of the sexiest guests that we've had on.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful looking man.
Very beautiful. Fella.
The King of Spain.
The King of Spain.
Great name.
Yeah. When I come back, I want to be the King of Spain.
Come back from where?
I don't know.
Spain.
Conquered it.
Good player and all, man. We both played with him, didn't we?
Yeah.
Norwich. Yeah. Norwich, you and myself, York.
He went from the freezer to the flipping Premier League.
Great advert for people.
Working hard. Give us some
even though you're cast aside.
Totally out of it.
Yeah. St Mirren, Norwich, York,
Cardiff.
Any more?
I think there's a couple more in there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a couple, but you get the idea.
But great lad.
Yeah. Old school.
Deserved everything that he got.
Yeah. Worked hard. Liked to drink as well.
Yeah.
So because they were old school, I went old school and I got a little bit tipsy in the episode.
I'm glad you mentioned
John gets a little bit tipsy in this episode towards the end. Maybe the middle, from the middle actually.
Not very often I do it now though.
No. Yeah, you have a day off every now and again.
Yeah.
Can't you?
Well, day off when I'm on.
Enjoy yourself.
Should we get him in?
Yes, but before we do, we've got to say a massive thank you to O'Neills Sportswear for making the series happen, not just sponsoring this episode, but the entire series.
Live shows, tickets on sale now.
For Leeds, Saturday the 21st of June. That's a double header. Can we call it a matinee?
Yeah, matinee.
Matinee and a later one. Doncaster the week after, Friday the 27th of June. And then Mick McCarthy is just confirmed for Wolves on Thursday the 3rd of July. Get your tickets now.
Bloody well, remember there's a link in the description. Through to the website, get your tickets. Going to be a good evening or afternoon if you come into the matinee. Right, Mr. Simon.
The people from Wolverhampton call it Wolves? Or is that just a football club?
I don't know.
Well, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, please do.
Mr. Simon Lappin.
King of.
Beautiful.
Has he made the top three?
Tell you what. Looking at that, I'd say so.
Get that down the camera.
Could be straight in at number one.
That's in the one.
We'll get up on screen. Full screen.
I better not take this home, by the way, because if my missus sees this,
best thing was,
she'll be moving to Norwich.
We said we haven't printed the notes off, and obviously, did you give a ring to say could you print it off at work? And then I pulled that picture up. I said, "Are we going full page on this?" Yes.
You don't get any further down than that, no.
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
It's my screensaver on my phone. No, it was years ago, back in Scotland at St Mirren at the time, and it was a radio station, and they were doing a calendar for charity. It was Cash for Kids kind of thing. But people had to phone in and vote for what they thought was attractive footballers or whatever, so I was never off the phone getting my votes in for myself. And I somehow managed to get into that. But what I didn't know at the time was you had to go to Hampden when they got the final 12, whatever month you were getting. And I was first one there, keen as mustard to get in and see what was happening. But I thought it was in your kit. So the girls that were there, and I was saying to my missus, no, it's all in your kit and everything. Like, she's like, get your top off. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, kit off, oil all over me and putting mud on me and everything. Mortified about it. But it was all for a great cause. And then the calendar sold out.
I think I'd have shaved the shoulders.
That is mud, Chris. I promise you that is mud. Yeah, I need a trim down again, but that was when they were rubbing the mud on me. But,
I think I've seen this on the front of a DVD that I bought over here.
Yeah, all for a good cause. It pops up as it did today. I thought I'd buried it, but somebody, was it you that dug it out?
No, he used to play him.
Yeah, I thought I'd managed to bury it.
Have a look at this.
Every other year it seems to pop up somewhere. But no, it was for a good cause, but I never got asked to do it again.
Where did the King of Spain start?
It was, we played Colchester away, Chris.
Is it Norwich?
Yeah, and my missus came to the game actually, and it was sort of a big game because Lambert was going back after leaving Colchester to come to Norwich and all this kind of thing. So brilliant crowd. She wanted to come down to the game. And after it, she was saying, yo, did you hear what the fans were singing about you? And I hadn't heard it before or anything, but she told me what it was. And it was just King of Spain, Simon Lappin, King of Spain, to the tune of London Bridge. No idea where it came from or who started it, but it just stuck throughout. And it's even now when you bump into people, how you doing, King of Spain? You're like,
So you got King of Spain, I got Beast.
No. Just sounds impressive, doesn't it, the King of Spain?
The Beast of Barnes.
King of
great
Spain.
Name, great name, big man, love it. But no, it's stuck ever since. To this day, I don't know who started it. And I remember at one point, some band from Leeds had sent something into the club and said, we're going to write a song, but we've got a song called The King of Spain, but we're going to change all the lyrics, and when are you going to shave for us, and all this. But we never done it. And Gary Dock, there's some band wanted to do a song about him. We were going to have a bit of competition, but never got around to doing it. But it's still stuck to this day, but long time ago now.
What can Gary Dock's name be?
Big Ginger Pelly, wasn't he? What a guy. I'm pretty sure you've spoke about the Dock on here plenty of times. But
started at St Mirren.
Yep.
Picked up what age?
About 14, no different to you guys. Scouted by clubs around Scotland, Motherwell, Hibs, trained at Celtic for a bit.
Where is St Mirren geographically in Scotland?
Yeah, I was thinking.
Paisley, so it's the other side of Glasgow.
So it's not far from your Rangers and Celtic?
I was brought up in Airdrie, so about 20 miles across the Kingston Bridge out the other side to the west of Scotland. But it was loads of sort of other pro youth teams at the time, and sort of fell out of love with football for a wee bit. My dad took me out of it, just said, go and play boys club again, find your love for it. And it was St Mirren at the time were the one that I thought, yeah, because they were brilliant at promoting youth. Half of the first team had come through the youth system. They were playing when they were 18 and 19. And it was a bit of a no-brainer at the time to go there, but I loved it. Left school 99, went there. And because there was only 2 or 3 of us at the time, it might have been different down here, bigger resources, more money, and taking more boys on. There was only 3 lads in my YTS year. The first years, there was maybe 4 or 5 in the second year lads. And then there was a small squad for the first team. There was only maybe 20 lads. You throw in long-term injury, a couple of boys missing. So we trained with the first team every day from 16.
So who did you play against, like?
We still played for the 16s played on a Sunday, the 18s as well, and the reserves was on a Monday. But it was lads that were still at school or at college or whatever played the 16s, 18s. And then the reserve game on a Monday was made up of all the lads that didn't play on the Saturday. If you got into the reserve team, you were doing well. It's different now, but it was all full of men and everything. But what a schooling. Obviously your parents, my dad brings you up and teaches you how to be a lad or whatever, but when you get into that environment from school 1 month to training with guys that are in their 30s and they didn't hold back. But I loved every minute of it.
Going back to that's a big call from your dad, isn't it? Very good parent, and that to recognise that.
He could obviously see, Browny, I wasn't enjoying it, mate, and just thought, not that you were losing confidence or whatever, but it was just like, come back out. You don't need to do that just now. You don't need to be in an academy just to say, or pro youth, whatever it was called at the time. You don't need to be in that just to say you are. You're not enjoying it. Go and find your love for it again. And I did. So it was a big call from my dad. Brilliant bit of advice, and it's obviously paid off in the long run. Not that he would ever have known, because he just wanted me to be a kid and just go and enjoy myself, which was brilliant. But going to St Mirren was the best school you could ever ask for. As I said, 16, training with these grown men, and loved it. Loved every minute.
Big brutes in there as well.
Sorry?
Some big brutes in there.
Oh, yeah. And they treated you as if you were a first-team player in training and whatever. And the way they spoke to you, some of the words I'd never heard of when they were calling me. You daren't go home and tell your mum and dad what had happened either.
Yeah.
See, if I was on the boots, anything wrong, it'd be a cracking the ribs. Just for a stripe, a wee bit of polish on a copper stripe or something. But it was brilliant. And then always punishment was MD messed up, everybody got it, and it was 12-minute round the track, every day, 8 laps. If nobody gets in the time, you're going again. All that sort of stuff. So
it's fair, but you're raging, aren't you?
Oh,
if you've done your job.
We had a big goalie. Exactly. But it was to teach the ones you're letting the rest of the boys down, kind of thing. So make sure with a big goalie, and you're like, please get round, big man. Like,
that would have been me. I was just about to say that.
It's not his game, is it? Long distance running around a pitch, and the pitch was massive, honestly. I think you used to take corner flags out when you get punished for it, but I loved it. Looking back now, at the time, you're like,
it's bullying, isn't it? Friendly bullying.
Everybody says the same thing, doesn't they?
Is the word, isn't it? Sorry?
Everyone says the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, looking back now, I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You appreciate that upbringing.
But it made you appreciate, so when you got into the first team dressing room, so say we trained with the first team, but you get changed in the away dressing room, and you had to chat the door before, and then, it's like, lads wouldn't give you okay to come in, you're standing there for hours, like, come on, I need to get in and get the kit or whatever, but it taught you all these things that you need to earn to get into that changing room. But see, when you got in there, it was like a sense of achievement, wasn't it? When you got
and you can go from the bullied To the bully,
Oh yeah, straight on that. Straight on. The minute you get in that first team dressing room, you're
The time has arrived.
Yeah, but
flicking sloggers at the young ones.
oh, but just
that.
some of the stuff you wouldn't get away with. I remember we used to we trained just at public park at times. So you'd go to the ground, get changed on the minibus, and the stanchions used to get put on top of the minibus to go to training. Because if you left them where they were, they'd get nicked or whatever it was, kind of thing. We were training somewhere else one day, and the crossbars used to get left there, but they had to go somewhere else. And somebody had messed up, whatever it was, boots or something, dirty balls not pumped up, whatever it was. Anyway, right, you're carrying that crossbar, you're carrying that crossbar. I'm like, where are they? Your training pitch. I'm like, where is it? It's a mile away. So you've got this, and your copa is walking through the high street with a crossbar. And you're like, where would you be allowed to do that now? It was just ridiculous to think. But again, you would know that you would get, you say brilliant. It was character building, but gives you good traits, and everything you had to do, you had to earn.
I think I say it every time. It's missed. It's missed now on the kids.
Yeah, it's getting a balance, though, isn't it? They get everything done for them now.
What technique did you go for? Was it the
Underarm?
A lot of swapping.
Swapsies.
Yeah, swapsies. Excuse me, love, you're shopping there.
Come on, your trolley.
And your copas or whatever as well. Brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant.
Did you get? Did you progress quickly into the first team? Like
I'd actually done, no, not so much the first team, but I'd done okay with the youth team. And I got into the Scotland under 16s. And for a first of all championship in modern money team, for somebody to get into under 16s, it was all Premier League lads that I got into the Scotland under 16s. So they actually gave me a pro contract after 3 months in my YTS. But it wasn't like a pro contract like the first team players. It was an extra tenner or something, whatever it was. So they obviously seen I was doing okay. But they get promoted to the Premier League at that point. And then at that point, there's a proper reserve group now, and you're part of that, rather than training with the first team every day. Yeah. So that hindered me a little bit. I wasn't ready to play in the first team in the Premier League anyway. Yeah. But it was sort of, even getting into that Scotland under 16s, you're walking into the changing room and it's like, you've not even mentioned it and you just get shot. It's like a preemptive shooting you down in flames. You big type, who do you think you are? Getting into the Scotland under 16s. No, do you know what I mean? Just nothing to do with me. Yeah, just did my best. I've not in my mouth.
That's bullying.
Just don't you get above your station,
you big time little bastard. Oh, I've not done anything.
So, but then I had a stupid injury, like as we all did when you're grown, and I was about 7 or 8 months, so I couldn't get to the bottom of it. And then it wasn't until I was about 18 or 19 that the team got relegated from the Premier League again, which is probably a good thing for me to get closer to it. And
were you on the bench that season before they got relegated a few times?
No. It was when it came down to the first division. I think I made my debut towards the tail end of the season when there was nothing to play for. It was like throw the young lads on just to get them their debut, and then it was the season after I was actually part of the proper first team, and I was 18 and a half, 19. And sort of went from there.
Were St Mirren's level? Were they, if they were in the Prem, were they punching, or were they just a...
At that point, they were Parky. They were doing okay for a spell, what I remember, long time ago now, but when they came straight back down, they went into a bit of free fall. Lads obviously left, as happens when any team gets relegated, and they struggled. And there was always sort of fighting relegation, so it wasn't like you were going into the first team when they're flying and they can throw you in and you're full of confidence. It was fighting fires for the first couple of seasons. And then it all changed, turned around when Gus McPherson came in, and he was absolutely brilliant. He just took the club.
That's a Scottish name,
yeah,
isn't it?
Angus, sorry. He likes to be called Angus, sorry if he's watching. But him and a guy, Andy Millen, who was incredible. They worked together at played together at Kilmarnock, and they came in. Andy was player assistant, Gus was the manager. And he just took the club and turned it upside down. They get rid of lads that maybe weren't quite want to be there, coming to ends of their career and stuff like that. And then we finished runners up the next season, then the next season we were up in the league after that. And there was no belief in the place. The club wasn't really going anywhere, and they just took it by the scruff of the neck. But small knit group, everybody was in it together, team that drinks together. We were one of them, like everything, social events, all that stuff. Unbelievable group of lads.
And what position were you at this point? Because I've known you play centre mid, left wing, left back.
Wing back at that point, maybe played centre mid, so it was between the two. We didn't have a big squad. I had a spell I don't want to really talk about, but I'll bring out a right wing back. Jesus, man. See when you see these opposite sides, like they play right footers on the left. It was the worst display you'll see a 5 game of somebody playing at wing back left.
Wait, 5 games as well, not even...
So the lad David Van Zanten was right wing back and he was suspended or injured or whatever it was. And honestly, it was hopeless. I always think that right-footed players are better on their left foot than left-footed players are on their right, if that makes sense.
Right,
you know what I mean? So you can ask a right-footed player, they'll do a job on the left-hand side, but a left-footed player playing right wing-back was... If there's footage of it, I'll send you. It's horrendous.
For some reason, I think that... it's hard to even explain. Left-footers playing right wing works, but for some reason, when I imagine them wing-back, I'm like... I can't imagine them cutting inside. And...
No, but tackling on your right foot when you're showing them, hopeless. Well, I didn't get a tackle in, I don't think, actually, in the 5 games, but I know what you're saying about wingers, especially modern day, higher up the pitch, but going that way, nah. But it was wing back or midfield.
Won the League Cup as well.
It was the equivalent of the Johnson's Paint. What's it called now? So it was,
we were trying to work out last night, weren't we, which one it was?
Challenge Cup. But see, to go and win that outside the Premier League, it was brilliant. I remember
was everybody playing the Challenge Cup?
Yeah, so even now,
below the SPL.
Below the SPL.
Yeah.
I even think now there's Welsh teams playing it. Right. For some reason, I don't know what the deal with it. It was Petrofac it changed to, but we won that, and I can remember
scored in the final.
Scored in the final. Should have scored the first one. It wasn't great goal scorer, Chris, but should have scored the first one. Couldn't miss the second one, kind of thing. But the older lads saying you can go your whole career without winning anything. And people maybe, she'd laugh about the Johnson's Paint or whatever, but see you win your first trophy.
Yeah.
No matter the level of football, it was incredible.
Where was the final?
It was at my hometown's club. It wasn't going to be at Hampden. They were never going to fill it. We played Hamilton Accies. And it was at Airdrie United's ground. To go and win something with a group of lads at any level of football is incredible. It's absolutely brilliant. And then we won the league that year as well. So we'd done a sort of cup and league double. And I remember a guy saying, Mark Riley, older guy, brilliant, and he was saying, "Look, I think this feels good. Wait till you see what it's like when you win the league." And it was just absolutely incredible.
Do you know when you finished runner up? Was it then when you did that stupid playoff thing or not? With the team that finishes second?
I think that was
stupid.
I think it's
that was better in Scottish football here, Chris.
No, it's not. It's just that if the team that finishes second bottom plays the team that finishes runner up in a playoff game.
It was before that came in. That is, the team that finishes 12th goes straight down, 11th going to a playoff against whoever wins the playoff from second, third, fourth. Is it in the league below? But that was before that came in. So we never had that. But so we won the cup in the league in the same year. Given where the club was a couple of years prior to that, it was just incredible. Party time all summer.
Celebrations.
Yeah, that was. I think where did we go? We wanted to go Magaluf, as you do, but the gaffer was a big golfer. We ended up in Albufeira. It was still brilliant.
I was going to say, not bad.
But it was still great.
When we're our age.
All
if
over
you're
it.
19, 20, you're not wanting to go Albufeira, are you?
No, there's a young strip, isn't there? Isn't there?
There was a strip and whatever. In
20 years back, this.
Yeah.
There's 2 parts. You're thinking of the old town where we're going. Your stag do.
Valamura?
No,
Valamura's
Albufeira.
other part. You going to Albufeira? But it was between whatever it was, Magaluf or whatever, and the gaffer pulled rank. It was still a brilliant trip, but just on that high the whole summer, get into the Premier League. And then where did we go pre-season? We went to Austria pre-season, and we played some team that we'd never heard of. We think we've arrived here in the Premier League. Some Austrian 5th Division team or something. They battered us 4-0. The game got abandoned when a storm arrived. And we were like, thank God for that, man. So we were like, honestly, it was like the end of the world for us. The managers were like, it was like Mike Bassett, come on lads, big smiles, get heads up stuff. And we've got no chance in the Premier League if we're getting battered off them. But we've done all right, we've done okay, and we first got into it, so.
That's when you know it's bad pre-season, because if you got beat 1-0, you're getting a bollocking, aren't you? Saying that's not good enough. You know it's bad when you're getting a bit of...
Keep your heads up.
Yeah,
honestly,
a bit of sympathy.
See if that storm didn't arrive, it could have been in 20. I'm not joking, honestly. It was unbelievable.
The gaffers doing a rain dance at the side of the pitch.
Played Real Madrid here, pre-season friendly, but bro, even that, just brilliant trip. Sort of like, you guys will be the same. All the memories you have are all with a group of lads you played with.
Oh, aye.
Just brilliant lads.
I've just got. I mean, what you know, in that St Mirren team, I don't know if it's just me, but I've got this vision of like everybody at the top of the wall on Game of Thrones. I've just got a feeling like every footballer was like that in Scotland 25 years ago. Not the big ginger thing, but a bit...
Wildings.
Yeah, Wildings, yeah.
And I was disrespecting Scottish football.
You're disrespecting Scotland.
Yeah, well, Jimmy hats on with the ginger hair. yeah.
I've just got this vision.
Just wearing
The centre
wearing
half,
Berthers.
the centre half was just big fucking meatheads who just like wanted to eat.
Yeah, didn't need boots because you just headed everything, even down there. Don't put your boots on, big man. No, but so there are things as well. Right, good players as well in that group. Really good times.
You were just about to say that, weren't you? You would have followed that up with obviously good players.
Obviously great players. Good on the ball, but just would eat you.
Yeah, that as well, yeah.
Were you a Celtic or Rangers fan?
I was a Celtic fan, but only when I was younger. When I went full-time with St Mirren, it just sort of disappeared, and because you're only concentrating on what you're doing. Now I couldn't care less, to be honest. I only do it when my brother-in-law and my father-in-law are due down at the weekend, and they're big Rangers fans. So whenever they're down, I pretend I'm a proper die-hard Celtic fan again, just to wind them up.
Did you play them in that? Was it 6 months you were at St Mirren before Norwich?
Yes.
Have I got my timeline?
In the-
there?
Yes, in the SPL.
Yeah, so it was the first 6 months.
Did you play at Celtic?
Yeah. And see, when you go and play Celtic and Rangers, I would say it's a free hit and whatever else, but you think you're doing all right. 1 minute, I remember one of the games, 0-0, you're all right, getting at half time, you're 5-0 down after 8-10 minutes of the second half. They just bang, 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 blow you away. And I remember guys saying as well, it's easy to play when you go to Celtic Park and Ibrox because the way you have the ball and there's no pressure on you and nobody expects anything of you. So there is an element of it's a bit easier to play. Not that you're going to go and destroy them or anything, but it's just like wave of attack at times. You know, when you're in training, it's just constant coming at you. You can't get out your half.
Who was playing?
At that time, it would have been, the front ones would have been Venegura Hesselink, Aidan McGeady on one side, Nakamura. So I was playing left wing against Nakamura. Oh my word. I don't know how much he was spoke about in England and things. Like, obviously, he was massive in Japan. And you hear the Celtic lads talk about how good he was. He was
Who did we have on who said he was
Mulgrew.
Was it Mulgrew who said he was one of the best players he's played with?
I mean, saying about myself, he was all left foot, but you couldn't stop him getting it back on his left foot.
A bit like Foden.
Yeah, honestly, Parky, it was like, you think, I've got him here, and then he's gone, twisted blood, corkscrew to get you out of the ground, and just the delivery, the quality it was unreal. But it, probably to tail end of Neil Lennon's career, he still playing in midfield. Gravison was there, some of the centre. But I remember years before playing against them in a pre-season game, and it was Bobo Baldi, and our striker got injured, and the gaffer told me he got front against Bobo Baldi. I'm like, no chance.
He's at the top of the wall. I think Bobo's just got a big chicken leg.
Is he the big boss?
He's eating his chicken leg and just chucking the ball up at wall.
And however long in the game they were playing a back three, it was Baldi, I think it was Tom Boyd and Johan Mjalby. It was the easiest 60 minutes of football they would have ever had in their life playing against them. But even when you went to Ibrox as well, you think you're in the game and they can just blow you away within a couple of minutes and it's game over then. Game over, but...
So what are your aspirations here then? Are you thinking, right, I won't mind getting a move to Celtic Rangers if I do well enough, or I'll go down south?
Or jump over the wall.
Over the wall. Come on. Lads, come on!
Make it down off that Scottish, but all the Game of Thrones lads first.
Get to Durham and think, fuck that, we're turning back.
But no, any kid in Scotland or West Central Scotland, I dare say it is Celtic or Rangers. And it never came around. I remember hearing briefly, and again, took it with a pinch of salt even then, that our Rangers were watching this, that and other, but I always wanted to get to England. Just there was something I always had. I just thought, as a kid growing up watching Match of the Day, and God, to get a crack at that. And the first sort of instance that came around, it was a former youth team coach went to Millwall, and he wanted to take me with him then when I was a bit younger. I hadn't really played much in the first team, but it was to be part of their reserve team. It wasn't Millwall's first team or anything. And then you hear all these sort of sniffs for your age and this, that and other. And then the Norwich one came around. I got a phone call, I think I just turned 24. And my mum and dad, I remember they were in London and my wife, she was round and whatever, and get the phone call and saying they were interested. And it was, do you know what you're saying about desperate to get to England at the time and just high as a kite. From that point in, I was well going then, because going back into training and things, my head was already turned with the possibility of that.
So how long between getting a call and...
So my birthday's the 25th, I think it was maybe the day after, so 4 or 5 days.
Right.
But back into training, and then football rumours, it's in the paper, and the lads are asking, I don't know too much about it. And then it was the 30th, was it the 30th of January it must have been, flew down and you were already here at the time, you just signed,
I think I just signed.
And you were playing Wolves. It was Mick McCarthy in his Wolves team, and I think he was talking about it when he was with you, and you battered them and couldn't score. They beat you 1-0. So you came down, met Delia and met the manager that night and whatever else, and from there on in, that was it.
By the way, are you older than him, John?
What are you, Parky? I'm 83. Not years old. 1983.
I fucking look it.
Couple of years older.
Yeah, I'm 42.
I'm 43, so yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Could be dad and lad, couldn't it?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier up in Scotland, let me fucking tell you. Started living in Barnes than it is fucking Glasgow. All right, you cunt, by the way. Okay, now.
What were negotiations like? Any negotiations, or you just like...
No, so as in football, you know what the offer is before you even travel or anything. But I remember I was going whatever, Chris. It was like an opportunity. I seen it more as an opportunity. It wasn't bothered so much about what the money was. Again, guys that you played with, if you're successful, money will come to you, whatever else and all that. It was just the opportunity to go and play in England. And I never really knew where Norwich was at the point. Like, I knew they'd been in the Premier League, but I mean geographically, didn't really have a clue where it was. You see it when it's on the weather. Like, man, this is an arse end of nowhere. You have found out coming down.
Shipping forecast.
But and Grant at the time, when I met him after the game that night at the hotel, and he was brilliant, just talking about what he'd planned for the club. And it's a family club, it still is, and it's a brilliant sort of community. But he wanted to get away from that nice Norwich sort of thing, and I want to make it a fortress, all that kind of stuff. But he was so passionate about it. Didn't need to sell it to me anyway. I was already committed to I'm coming here. But the negotiations were pretty straightforward.
If it weren't Norwich, if it were Plymouth, anywhere in England would have been sound.
Honestly, Parky, it was nothing, no disrespect or anything to St Mirren. It was just the opportunity to go and play in England and speaking to guys that had played down there, and if you ever get the opportunity to go. And it's still the same now. What I will say is the Scottish League maybe gets a bad name, but it's a hard league to play in. There's a lot of top players that came from it. There's a lot of good players in it. But guys want to get to England, bigger resources, bigger clubs. Most clubs have got their training ground. Maybe a bit different now in Scotland where clubs have got them. But back then, nobody had their training ground other than Celtic and Rangers. And just much bigger, everything was bigger.
How did you feel going in training? Because is there a bit of apprehension because you just don't know what the different...
Out of my depth, honestly, I felt like an imposter. I was never an outward confident lad. I feel like I wasn't one to be bumping my gums, and I'm never going to speak about another one. Signed the same day, sorry. But I can remember just sitting there, Chris, and keep your head down. Even when you get older, you go to a new club, isn't it? There's ones that will be in your face. I was keep my head down, wait till everybody comes over and introduce yourself. And guys like Browny, I'm a hero, man. Got to Chris. Give straight over it. But like Gion Dublin, Dan Huckerby, guys you're watching growing up and Match of the Day. How you doing, me, man? Best of luck. All that kind of brilliant.
I think I bumped into you and Fozzie in the hotel beforehand.
It was
we had a carvery, a celebratory carvery, didn't we?
It was the night before, after I'd met with Grant and stuff and get chatting. And you're like, I've got a big beamer out. I'll give you a lift, lads, tomorrow.
Come on, Simon.
that silver one with the soft top.
Oh,
you big time bastard.
Honestly, Parker, I get next to him, I'm like, oh man, I need to up my game. You drop and get a new car if this is what he's driving about in. But we met then, and
so think shy, retire, and keep yourself to yourself, and then think of the complete opposite. And that is Mark Fotheringham.
Oh man, brilliant. 2 seconds, sorry. He was, I knew Fozzie when I was 16, and he'd be the first to tell you he's a very self-assured lad, he's confident, and as you say, in your face, lively. And as I say, I'm sitting there waiting for lads to come over and say, how you doing? He's like, D, to Dion, how you doing, big D? Straight as if he's known him all his life.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, like,
D?
Yeah,
Just D,
not
big D.
Big D.
D in him, not even, how you doing, D? I'll be like, how you doing, Mr. Dublin? He's like, how you doing, D? Like, I'm thinking, wow, man. Like, but I knew what it was like. And it's just the way it always has been kind of thing. But I said, I was more shy retiring, keep myself to myself. But what a boy Fozzie was.
Where had he signed from?
Where was it? Germany he'd came from, or Austria, Switzerland, whatever it was. He went over to Germany at some point, and I think he was there about 6 weeks, and he's fluent in German when he came back for there kind of thing. But he said, I can't remember, Aarau. That's what it was. FC Aarau. He came from.
Well, if he's intense, he's going to learn the language quick, innit?
Yeah. But he would. He would be fluent in 6 weeks. He was, that kind of guy. And just what a character, and as I said, very self-assured guy. I think you'd probably see that in Huddersfield when his interviews and stuff like that. Apparently, as a top coach.
But then, were you considered as a double act then?
Oh,
yeah.
See,
I'm imagining like Penn and Teller, the magicians, that one who doesn't talk. That was it.
Fotheringham and fucking Lappin's here.
Yeah. So day 2 at training, I'm like, D, how are you, big man? It's rubbing off on me kind of thing. But so we were rooming together for away games. I'm like lying at night, just talking away about football, and he was so, even in like the room, he was so intense. I'm like, I'm going to do tomorrow. And I'm like, I'm trying to get you sleep for honestly, man. He just loved football.
Just loved
football.
And he's like, he got obsessed with people.
Oh, yeah.
Was he good?
Yeah, he was a good player. He was. I don't think he probably
I can't
doesn't
really
get...
remember him playing.
He would just sit in midfield and get it and give it, wasn't he? Like,
I bet he's one of them that was unbelievable at 15,
yeah,
16.
He was.
Didn't really progress. He had the footballer run. He could pass sideways, but I bet at that age, people were like, fuck me, he's going to be world class.
He was brilliant at 40. He wasn't the only one. There was a crowd of lads in Scotland, same sort of... He was a bit more mature and he was bigger than everybody else, so he sort of stood out. And then when lads catch up, he's still a good player though. I always thought he was a good player. But so just sitting there, get it and give it. But some of the stuff in training. I know, see who's smiling now. The day we were doing 11v11 and his team gave the ball away or whatever it was, it happened. And bear in mind, we're in England. He's Scottish. We don't have any German players. He starts going mental in German. And it's like literally the whole... I think Granty stopped saying, what's going on? Why are you speaking in German? We're not the German here for, is it kind of thing? Scheiße Kopf!
Pulling the leather gloves out.
But just the escape to victory.
He was a good lad when you got to take him, but he was intense and just loved his football.
It was just like, he was Moorish. You just wanted to be around him to give them that moment of brilliance of speaking in Spanish, German. He'd just copy. If he looked up to Dion or there was a lad called Andy Hughes, he'd just want to be them and have to do whatever they did. So eat at the right time, eat at the same time, shave your chest if Hughesy shaved his chest.
Hughesy getting you on the scales. Go and jump on these scales, lad, to see what you're weighing. Why? What does it matter, Hughesy? Put a bit of timber in you and you're like, oh, ever? Like, paranoid as anything, Fozzie Brown. Go and jump on these scales laps. I'm like, Hughesy's just had me doing it. Why are you getting me doing it now? Can I jump on the same thing? But
so would you say like overriding thing, good lad?
I can't say it. I think far from a good lad. Me personally.
I always got on all right with him, because I've known him a lot longer and whatever. But just, I can see why, and he would say it himself, because he is so intense, I'm sure, you can see why he maybe rubbed lads up the wrong way.
But a bit of harmlessness in there, just that you'd thrive on. You'd love it. You buzz off him.
I don't know where I am with him.
The thing with me was when Rhoda got the job and I was in the freezer.
I was there. I was deeper than you. I was further down in the freezer.
You were a tempura king prawn.
Yeah, I was buried under the concrete under the freezer.
At the back with that breast that you forgot about. You've got to get out. You've got to chisel out.
There's always
just thawed out now.
There's always a little bag of frozen peas just in the corner, isn't there? Not many in.
Few loose ones.
Not enough for a meal.
Yeah, I was down there, Browny.
And it was a crossing and shooting thing, wasn't it? And Fozzie was putting a cross in, and Rhoda was looking from the sidelines.
I was training with under nines at that point.
You were in the freezer. Antarctic. 2 yards away, and I've missed this chance. And he shouted at the top of his voice, "That's why you're not in the effing team."
Oh, I remember that.
I was like 20, 21, 22, And even at the time, I was thinking,
remember that.
I need to go and throttle him here or do something. And I
you
did
not?
not.
Yeah, you crapped it, didn't you?
I did not. And I remember Dion pulling us after and went, don't let anybody ever speak to you like that again.
I think everyday Brownie expected it. Because, see, like, I was a moaner at training, but I would never have dreamt of anything like that. And any sort of moan, it was never personal or anything like that. But that sort of shout should never happen in football. No. And I think every day, because I remember it when that happened, expected, he's got to clock him here. Surely he's going to, Brownie, tight, I'm going to go in.
He'd just been made captain, hadn't he, if you remember? So
and how older is he than you then?
Is he your age, Fozzie?
He's slightly younger than me. Probably the same age, but just months apart.
Yeah.
So he's
2 or 3
I'm going to
years.
go in. Auf Wiedersehen.
Fozzie, yeah. You are right, Fostingham.
Yeah, if he'd said it in German, you would have been none the wiser. In fact, he said it in English.
See, that's outrageous.
I can understand why
that's-
you're thinking then, because it sticks with your stuff. Like
was
that as well,
just-
doesn't it?
Yeah, we've all had shouts in training, but that's a no-no in it, like saying that to a lad or whatever.
We've jumped forward a bit there because man of the match on your debut.
I don't know.
Alright.
I think my mum and dad were the sponsors in the game, but it was Adam Drury was a captain at the time and he was injured. So granted, and I was a midfielder, but he said, Granted said he'd play left back, and yeah, you're not seeing me at right wing back. I'm decent there as well, kind of thing, but played left back. But honestly, Chris, it was seeing train. I remember doing 11v11, and Dion was playing left centre back, Dan Huckerby was playing left midfield. And I just thought, I can't go wrong here. I'll just give them the ball, give him, and he talked you through the game. It was literally, the game plan all the time was anyway, get the ball to Hucks and just let him go and do what he wants. So I was in great company, looked after you kind of thing, and didn't have loads and loads to do. But we won 2-1. I think the two of them scored the goals, actually. But I just gave them the ball and then went and hid.
It's criminal that them two aren't involved in coaching, I think. The stuff you can learn from Dion as a striker.
Yeah,
unbelievable, man.
Incredible. The goals he's got, the level he played at. But do you know what the thing is? You found you would never think he played at the level, the way he is as a man. He was just top guy, had time for everybody. Honestly, brilliant player, obviously, at that time as well, still, but just one of the best guys you can meet in football.
It's catch-22 though, isn't it? Because what football would gain, the property market would lose, wouldn't it?
I think he's doing all right in that anyway.
He can't ask if that 2 up, 2 down in fucking Coventry deal. But that makes the Fotheringham thing even worse for me.
That you've got in people like
You've
him.
got somebody like Dion Dublin who had he been at Man United back then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's been at all these clubs, had this incredible career, and you've got fucking Mark fucking German Fotheringham chelping like that. I think that's outrageous.
Did you feel comfortable though once you got in? Like you said, you're a bit apprehensive, and
Once you find your feet,
are you like, do you know what? I can.
yeah, you feel, and it was
This is my level.
yeah. Once you get on your feet under the table a little bit, and you get used to the lads and whatever else, and like any club when you move throughout your career, it's just getting that run of games under your belt. And
I tell you what, we were mid-table when we signed, and we would, honestly,
our fault?
I think these new signings, but genuinely,
we were right Fotheringham.
we were on the way down, and it was Luke. I wasn't playing, I was crocked, but Luke, was it Luke, and you scored that?
yeah, in the last minute.
And
Was that your first goal?
First goal. That as well, Chris, things like getting your first goal, because I was never a goal scorer, but getting your first goal, and it wasn't until after the game, Brownie, and people saying about that, by the way, that goal was massive. And I think we beat Barnsley maybe the next game, it might have been, and it gave us a wee cushion, a wee edge to get away from getting dragged into that. But I didn't realise how important the goal was at that point.
90th minute free kick.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
Head fall off.
it was just pure elation. The game was a non-contest. The pitch was a quagmire, and I can't remember how the scoring went or whatever, but it was Youssef Safri and myself, and practicing and training as you do and whatever, and just fancied it. And it wasn't right in the top corner, but just to get your first goal. And so I suppose in these circumstances, 90 plus minute to win 3-2 away from home, and then the aftermath of, by the way, that goal was massive kind of thing. Yeah. So, and I suppose that helps endear you to the fans as well, that sort of thing. But
I know you said it, don't be sucked in. You know, the shy retiring Simon. He finds his voice on the pitch when you're not holding the ball up.
Oh, yeah.
Won't be.
I'm sorry, Brownie. I'm
All
sorry.
right, Simon. I know.
No wonder you're not in the team, Brownie.
No, it wasn't even that. It was never that bad. It wasn't that. It was constructive.
It dug out.
I'd have been shouting in German if I'd mastered that.
In Spanish.
Fozzie, you're fucking right. He's shit.
Do you know what? I need to apologise to everybody I've ever played with, and obviously the pleasure of playing with you two guys, and you've had the nightmare. But I was just, I don't know what it was. It was just, I don't know if it was a will to win or whatever it was. Just a moaning face git, and I was. But again, it was never personal with MD. I was just, I think not because I wasn't the best player, far from it. But I just think maybe try to drive standards or whatever it was. And it was always, I remember lads coming to sign, well, this guy's an absolute loony. As they say, once you get your feet under the table. But then when you're back in the changing room, it's like Jekyll and Hyde, this guy's off his head. And then...
Did you realise that?
Yeah, because luckily we got on well.
Like the first...
Obviously met him in the hotel before, so I kind of knew that it would. But imagine if we never really met and he starts giving it, I'm like, he's a cunt to him. And
then when you get in the changing room,
you're not the first one to say it.
All right with you.
You're not the first one to say that after you.
He's come over that fucking wall down here.
Telling me what to do.
But no, and it's just off the pitch. Well, my missus
Is that subconscious as well?
I think maybe at the times to mask it, I was having a nuke as well. Whenever a nightmare just started. Brownie, why are you in this team?
You kicked it out.
Maybe a hint of that, but it was, Chris, probably, you're right, mate, it was a subconscious, just the way I was. But see the thing, if you're going to give it out, you need to take it back, which I couldn't.
Mangy Simon again.
So I knew it was a two-way street. If I'm giving it out and you get it back, you've got to accept it, kind of thing, which was fine. But it was, I go back to the days at St Mirren, that was the environment I was brought up in at 16.
It's a Scottish thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Scottish lad. Neil Collins, exactly the same.
You know what, Cole,
nicest lad.
I played with Cole for a short spell as well. He was worse than me. He was worse than me.
Did you ever have
That's what he said about you.
No. Yeah, exactly. But Cole was worse than me. I would maybe be every now and then. He was 90 minutes of it, wasn't he? But again, look at the career he had and the level he played at. And I get just driving standards, getting the best out of people.
I was thinking about this last night, that if there was ever time I was going to go off the rails, it would have been Norwich, I think.
We did have a few nights, didn't we?
We did.
a few Saturday afternoons as well.
But Jill was obviously down with you, but I was on my own.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, boozing.
It was, I think there's an element of, you've got to keep yourself right. But I remember speak to guys in football that are older than you, you're entitled to have the moments of, I'm going out for a day out, or whatever it is.
Off.
Yeah, maybe not every Saturday afternoon, but you need to have you can't just sit and fester and hibernate when things are, you need to let the steam off it, exactly. Even when I was training with the youth team or whatever it was, and the youth team coach at the time knew, oh man, he's at boiling point, he's going to blow his top, and he's like, listen, just get out, don't bother, and it will help these younger lads as well.
I'm going to say, I didn't know it was that bad down here.
That spell.
I was probably... I think I was out for 6 months injury-wise, but then when Rhoda came in.
Yeah.
But in terms of off the pitch, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
My brother still talks about Mercy nightclub.
Did you drive down last night? It's gone now, isn't it? But it was brilliant in the day. And was it Chaddy that was on here? And you treat it like, was it pop stars or whatever? But anywhere you went, everybody couldn't do enough for you. And free entry at nightclubs or whatever. Anything honestly, it was brilliant. Just so looked after. That's why I moved back down.
Took me mum's been.
What a night. It was
couples night, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was. Maybe it was if we'd people down visiting, and as you do, no kids at the time. Straight as soon as the game's finished, back in the city, and I'm sure Jill was there at the time, and turned around and Brownie, I'm like, Brownie, come on, mate, it's a bit old, no? Because you say you're on your own, and who's that? My mum. He brought his mum in a nightclub. All the lads were all straight over. Brownie's mum's in that. But it was great. And Jill had a brilliant night with her, actually. It was class, but just brilliant time.
Was the old club couples night?
I think it was just one of them, like Jill had been down, maybe Marshy's missus was down.
Like, exactly.
It wasn't like the whole club was...
It was brilliant because...
I thought you brought your mum as a distraction. So
no. But it was, in terms of changing rooms...
You talk to that husband there, mum.
all
like a little
lads,
double act.
But all the lads that were on their own, like you were down here yourself and whatever, they were there every week, weren't they? Win, lose or draw. and they were down.
And were they like punters happy with like sound with that?
Yeah, we never got no bother in there, was it? Upstairs.
Do you know what? Never any hassle.
You know what I mean? Oh, you've got beat today. What the fuck are you doing?
Regardless of results, never had any hassle. And like I said, there's a one club city. Everybody supports Norwich, and they can't wait to talk to you or buy you a drink or whatever it is, regardless of what happened a couple of 100 yards down the road at Carroll Road. It was incredible. And that sort of blew me away as well, moving here, let's say in a community club. And one of the reasons why we still live here now is because of how welcomed you were, not just at Mercy. I don't just mean in the VIP club at Mercy.
They put a bit of extra ham on your sandwich, if you went to a patisserie.
But just the community in general, and like that, all that stuff for the lads must have been, especially the younger ones, it must have been mental, absolutely mental.
I tell you what, lads, there's nothing like Wednesday night in, couple of beers, watching Bromby versus Sickleborg.
I'm with you.
You know a couple of lads playing, don't you? Mm-hmm. So we got on the Danish league, got the VPN on, bounced it over. Perfect.
Sickleborg are a lot better team than what I thought.
I know. They've surprised me today. Well, if you didn't know, with NordVPN, you can bounce your location to anywhere in the world, and it's perfect for watching anything, but specifically sports. Like we've been abroad, bounce your location to the UK, get on your subscriptions, watch the match.
And as for the security, keeps all the passwords, bank details, everything under lock and key.
So I wasn't aware that they could get on your shizzle. You know, when you're in an hotel or whatever.
Them hackers, when you're just using public Wi-Fi, hacking in, not with NordVPN.
Got to be careful.
Extra layer of security. And of course, we've got an offer. Links in the description.
This is the big dog.
4 months free.
How many?
4 months free subscription plus 30-day money-back guarantee.
Well, we can't say any better than that.
I'm honestly lost for words.
Yeah. Oh, yes! Ida Legerson. What a goal.
I don't know.
Ida Legerson. He just signed this summer.
Beautiful looking man and all. Beautiful.
How long was it before Peter Grant left?
What would that have been, Browny? Maybe October, November time. But we were on a bad run, weren't we? And Grant, like as I said, he was desperate because he played here as well for a spell, and he was desperate to take the club back in the right direction. He was.
Was everybody desperate to do well for him?
Yeah, because he was brilliant. He was coach, unbelievable. He was intense though, wasn't he? Like, I'm intense as well when you're on the pitch, but I remember at times, he must have been tearing his hair out of me at certain times as well, but I hadn't even kicked off in a game. He's like, laps! What? I've not even kicked off a yard! What would you step to the right? Give me a thumbs up. I've not done anything.
That is intense.
Honestly, it was just, wasn't he from the side of the pitch? But
I don't know if it was obsessive.
Yeah.
Maybe
the desire to do that well.
Too much.
Probably a hint of perfectionism as well. He just wanted everything because he worked on it in training. But I loved him. And when he went, and it was sort of his decision, and I was gutted. I think the lads were as well. Gutted because he brought me to the club, and you feel like you've let him down.
Yeah.
So you're in the Championship now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Expected to have a bash? Or?
I think his hands were tied a wee bit because the club had been out of the Premier League for maybe 3 or 4 seasons at that point, whatever it was, and parachute payments had stopped. They were cutting the budget. They sold Dixon Atuhu. And there was a few players like Ernie left, didn't he, as well?
Yeah. Safri.
Yeah, and maybe losing lads that had been at the club for a couple of years and mainstays of the team, and he wanted a bit of a rebuild, but there wasn't a lot of money there to do it. So I don't know what the expectation, it certainly wasn't promotion, I don't think, Parky, but just given the season we'd had before, it was maybe finish higher, push for playoffs or whatever, but his hands are tied a wee bit in terms of budget and personnel.
I think the fans had turned, haven't they, as well?
Yeah, they're on if you don't win games of football, they will, won't you? And people tend to lose their jobs when you don't win games.
Paying to gain to mercy. lads,
shit, we're gonna have to pick it up, lads.
Yeah. Monday morning, lads, it's all gone tits up.
When you walk to the door, they go back of the queue.
I had to pay a £5 to get into mercy Saturday night.
You've ruined it for yourselves. You blew it. Forget it. But no, he probably October, November time. I think it might have been roughly.
How long after Glenn Roeder came in did you suspect that he might not be having you?
Well, just going back a wee bit before that happened, when he first, do you remember his first team talk? And he walked into the changing room and he had a briefcase or something with him, threw it in the corner and just started marching up and down. Well, what's he going to come out with here, kind of thing?
It's in front of everybody.
Yeah, that's in front of the lads. First time you're addressing the group and you need to have them, don't you? That first talk or whatever it is. And he said, can you remember what he said about winners drink champagne, losers make your own arrangements or something like this? And this was like, what kind of cryptic clue is this? You're fighting a relegation dogfight here, mate. You're talking about drinking champagne. And
he made a motivational phrase up on the spot.
Yeah.
You know what I
and
mean?
it was like, all right, kind of thing. But played the first game. It was a derby against Ipswich. Second game, we were poor. And then the third game was down at Plymouth. And do you know what I mean? Because we were on a bad run, confidence within the group at that point was at an all-time low, I would imagine as well, when we get battered 3-0. We flew home and we came in on Sunday. Were you down at Plymouth?
No.
You injured?
That's why I think I was in. I know you said you were deeper in the freezer, but I was more long stay. I was out early. I was the deep freezer. You were quick.
But we can probably
You were,
eat that Thursday.
you were the lucky one. You got out before he arrived.
You were a quick defrost.
But
The breast milk. It's always in there, but nobody ever takes it out.
so
He's 6 now, still there.
We might need it. We might need
Getting
it.
him on there.
But like I said, we get convincing 3-0 as well away at Plymouth. And we came in on the Sunday, as you would expect, after a defeat like that. And there was a list up of who was training with the youth team. It wasn't even like a group training on their own. It was, you're training with the kids. I was on that amongst others. And it wasn't just 2 or 3. There was 9 or 10 of the lads that had been in either the starting 11 or the bench. See you later.
Gone.
And that was it. That was a sort of beginning and the end that day.
I'm not having a
And I
freezer off.
was climbing back into the freezer.
I was
with you,
going to
big
say, I'm
man.
not having a freezer off, but I didn't even make the list. I was just like a given that I was over there. So I was like, lad!
This is the Browny list. You're joining it.
Two gloves, lad.
It's good crack over here, you know, lads, honestly.
So his assistant, I'm not on the list. Well, you know where you are,
Do
Chris.
you know the bad thing, Parky? Like, you don't want to be there, but it was a great group of lads. Like, it was actually over.
Here, lads, have a corner. So,
See, that sort of kept you going when you were, when the tougher days, when you're thinking, I'm you go out here kind of thing. But
It's almost better that there's a few of you in it.
yeah, and the other thing,
Just
Parky,
one of you, right, you're with the youth team.
yeah.
yeah,
You're like, fucking hell, but if there's a few of you,
yeah.
that ends up being good. It's all right.
Yeah, huddle up, keep
Saturday
warm.
club. That's not a Sunday club. We were a Saturday
Was
club.
it Steve or Paul Stevenson used to take Saturday morning for the mushrooms?
From
Yeah.
Hartlepool.
Lee Clark was his assistant and Steve O was first team coach.
Steve-O got 600 caps for England. The way he used to talk. Honest to God, he was in a tough position.
But was he all right, though, with it? Did he understand?
He knew, but I think he was sort of caught between, well, I'm his lieutenant kind of thing, and I understand where you're at. So it was sort of maybe a tough one for him. But I remember we played Arsenal, and at that time they were all their young lads coming through, and it was a resi game at Carrow Road. So we were coming in for training for the day. I was involved in this. Some of the games I was on the bench for the resis just to try and
Really
push over
piss you
it.
off.
Yeah, absolutely, Parky. And you know what they're doing. But I was playing this game, so you set up a team. I'm like, Steve, where am I playing? He's like, left centre back. I'm like, left centre back? I was like, no bother, mate. I just went and stood there and whatever. We played in the game, and I think they were setting up for me to have an absolute nightmare in Costas or whatever, right? It's a big lad, Dario Dumic, his name was. He might not have a good career in Germany and stuff like this. But I said, big man, I'm just going to go behind. You just go and head at everything. And we beat them 4-2. This up-and-coming Arsenal team. And I could sense that he was spitting feathers. And the next day going into training, I was sat at the lockers. He came in that door on the far side, and he came over and he's like, put his hand out, and I felt like if I wanted to grab it and crack him. But it was like, it meant nothing to me. Do you know what I mean?
Give him a wet one.
Yeah, absolutely. But Steve, to be fair to him, when he left, when eventually they all went, he phoned me and he said, listen, I was in a tough spot. So I appreciated that, and I understood that at the time.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one for coaches because they've still got to remember who they're working with and who they're working for,
Yeah.
but understand that lads are in this sort of position as well.
Difficult position.
Yeah.
I think you've just got, as that coach, I think you've just got to go with, how's he trained? Yeah, sound.
Yeah, and just keep the sessions as lively as you can.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm not the first person that happened to. I certainly, maybe nowadays it won't happen, but I wasn't the last. And as I said, I went on loan to Motherwell at that point.
Scored against Celtic, didn't you, out there?
I did, yeah. They were doing really well in the league. And as I said, Mark McGee was brilliant, great group of lads. And no different when you sign for a new club, you still got to earn to get in the side. I didn't play particularly well in the game. We went down to 10 men as well, I think maybe after that, but scored 1-0. I grew up a Celtic fan and I couldn't win because all my mates are buzzing, like, devastated about it. If they were Celtic fans, sorry, all the Rangers fans were loving you kind of thing. But that gave me a wee boost as well. Do you know what I mean?
Did you get your confidence come back then?
100%. And then, again, dipped in and out of the team, but when you get 9 minutes just on the pitch, and you don't become a bad player overnight, do you? It's a confidence game and it's just finding it. Some people are way more confident than others. I had to be at my best confidence-wise to be playing at my best.
And contract-wise at Norwich, this is the end of your second season. How long did you have left?
This was halfway through my first full season. I had 2 years left at Norwich after that, I think. Yeah, I think I had 2 years.
And what were you thinking coming back?
Do you know what I was thinking? Maybe naively thinking, if I can go back and change his mind. But that was never going to happen. But Mark McGee had pulled me at the end of the season. I said, listen, I'd like to bring you back next year. And I was obviously flattered that you think you've done well enough to get you back and this, that and the other. But 2 years left in my contract, I think, no, I'm going to go back down. It's 2 years. There'd been talks about leaving and whatever else, and we'll give you this to go, but it was nowhere near. I wasn't going to walk away from the contract I had.
Would Motherwell have been anywhere near your Norwich contract?
No, not at that point. I mean, it wasn't like astronomical figures, far from it, but I just thought Parky as well. As I said, naively, I probably went back down thinking I'm going to get in pre-season, I'm going to be the fittest or whatever it might be, just to think I'm going to shoot.
You're half hoping they get off to a terrible start, aren't you?
Yeah, and they won 2-0 in the first game. So I was devastated, but even then...
You say naively, but that's the mindset, isn't it?
Yeah,
You've got
and it was. Yeah. But it quickly became apparent again, Chris, that wasn't going to happen. And then again, not that confidence was back, but it's back down again kind of thing, and in and out. But what then happened was really weird. Training with the kids, and every now and again you'd get called over to make up the Stiffs team for 11v11. I remember this was later down the line, and he gave me a bit of praise in front of the group. I'm like, where's this came from?
Roller did.
Yeah. He sort of brought me back into the squad. So I was travelling again with the squad without any conversation about, listen, you've done really well, I love your attitude or whatever, you've dug in. And then I was on the bench and things for maybe a couple of games before he got sacked. But in between then, I had the chance to leave as well, to go to Huddersfield. It was that far down the line. And it just never came off. And I didn't really want to go either because I thought I'm desperate to be a success at Norwich. I just did this in my head. I knew that football you have to go where you're wanted, but I loved living here. I felt I'd settled in really quickly in that initial period, and I just wanted to be a success here.
What the impression I got, he was always seen as a bit soft at Newcastle, and he ended up getting potted from there. And I think when he came to Norwich, he's come in with this attitude of, I need to be somebody that I'm not.
Yeah.
That's right the way through, yeah. Talking about his first meeting, briefcase.
Yes. We had big John Hartson at the time. Jim Duffy had been caretaker when Grant got the sack, and he brought John Hartson in on loan. What a guy, wasn't he? Brilliant, absolute hero.
Did you hear about?
Good mate of mine.
Did you hear about when we went to John Hartson's house to interview him?
No. Is this for off camera or is it?
No, they've given us stick since.
Yeah, we arrived, obviously. Did you
at John Hartson's house
assist his final goal in football or the last?
No, he assisted my only goal for Norwich.
For Norwich.
So
yeah.
I was listen, Johnny's a great lad. Big mates.
Back in the day.
Used to tee each other up every week.
Yeah. What's in his kitchen? This is Steve.
That's not Chris Brown.
This is Steve. Defender, wouldn't you? Defender
off. Stephen Walker. I was crippled.
After giving it the big into
Johnny's a great lad.
We got on like that, man. It made a big jump.
He was brilliant. He was only there for a short spell, but I remember because he'd been at West Ham with him.
Yeah.
And like, what's he like? And he's like, he's brilliant, you'll love him, this, that, and the other. And Big John was in the bench the first game. He's like, what are this? That absolutely hammered him, didn't he? But I think you're right, as in, you'd heard rumours, like, as you do through football, that he'd maybe been a bit soft with lads and taking the mick and whatever else, and he thought, I need to come in here and be the main figure. And it wasn't just the lads that weren't playing. I can't speak for everybody, but some of the lads that were playing week in, week out couldn't stand it either. Just hated everything about the way it was.
So do you think if he'd have come in with been his normal self, do you think he could have been successful?
I do, personally. But I knew as soon as he walked in that thingy, because I had this thingy on his interviews and Match of the Day, and I thought, I bet you he's all right. And then he's come in and I thought, he's lost me straight away.
I thought nerdish.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, Park. Like you're saying in these interviews, you would think that, but I think he just went far too far the other way of, I'm the main man, you answer to me kind of thing. And
I'm going to go in tomorrow, I'm going to throw my briefcase.
Honestly, Chris.
There's fuck all in it, but I'm going to wang it in corner.
There's this big centre-back Steve.
Stevie Walker.
That's amazing.
I think it hurt him because he screwed the microphone even tighter under his wooden table.
Did you get to go up? No, that's me there, John. That's me, look, remember? But no, I think he just... And then I think he didn't want any of the senior lads, like Hucks, for example, or Dion's maybe a bit different, but didn't want them to be seen as bigger than him. Or run the dressing room or whatever, he was in charge. And
can you remember, I don't know if I've spoke about when we had the lads went out on a Wednesday and yeah, with Weeksy won it, remember Liam?
Yeah.
So Liam was like the analyst, and this is when Granty was in charge. He was brilliant. The lads got on really well with him. He was just one of the lads. But then Roders almost recruited him as a bit of a snake. And we were in, I can't remember the name of the club on a Wednesday, Garage, R&B, Garage night. Oh, it was brilliant.
You weren't there, Lap, sure.
No, I don't think you were. I think it was...
I wasn't there, not a Wednesday parking, no.
not Garage. They might what day at week.
Yeah, I love my Garage music.
Dion was there and a couple of the other lads, and Weeksy's ended up grassing us up and got us in the shit, and Dion strung Weeksy up, kicked him out of the changing room. Like, you know what we're saying about what I should have done to Fozzie? He's just made an example of Liam.
What?
All the lads, because it was like one of them, the people's lockers were sat in a half circle.
Yeah.
Everyone was just sat there and Weeksy's walked through. So everyone's looking and Dion's just
I remember that.
Packing out of the changing room. Get out of here now. You're not one of us. Fucking
Optic. The nightclub was called Optic. Was it not in there?
Class on a Wednesday.
But no, I remember that as well, Parky.
I might have to disagree if it were R&B night.
But no, and things like that, like as you said, asking him to look out after the lads and what's going on in the dressing room. It's the best managers that you've played with. The dressing room runs itself. That's your domain. You run it however you want. Don't need to know what's going on. As long as you're turning up and performing and producing, don't need to know what's happening. But no, it was a difficult time, and I said when he got the bullet, I was on the bench. Oh man, sorry, Chris.
I was just going to say, was it a massive relief?
Like I'm saying, I was back involved at this point, and we played Charlton in the FA Cup. And you remember Arturo Lupoli from Arsenal, striker? I can't remember if he was on loan from Arsenal or Fiorentina. Great lad. So I was rooming with him, and I knew I was going to be on the bench kind of thing. He's like, Simon, if I score tomorrow, I'm going to run to you. And I'm like, don't you dare come near me. I'm trying to keep my head down, just keep it low profile. So Loops was on the bench. Sure enough, he goes on, scores. And I'm like, oh my God, I think I was in the Charlton dugout trying to hide from it. I don't want to draw any attention to myself. So we drew that game, and then the replay was a Tuesday, and they beat us 1-0. And I can remember in the changing room, he was sat on the bench, you get in every changing room and talking, and then you could hear the crowd outside that had sort of gathered. And I remember Darryl Russell just sitting staring at him. I think Rusty maybe had the same opinion as us about him, and just staring right through him. And he sort of caught Rusty's eye. He's like, what's up, Darryl? Why are you staring at me like that kind of thing? But everybody knew then that was it. He was gone. But as soon as a crowd gathers outside and start
a protest.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
especially when you're nipping out fronting it.
Yeah.
Get him out, get him out, get him out.
Yeah. Where's that banner I made? Get that strug out, lads. Here, you hold that end.
Banging up dressing room wall. Go on, lads. Keep going.
But it was right on the road. The Carroll Road changing rooms are right on the road. And the windows were open. My dad's got his head in the window at the front of it. But it was...
Play that Lappin!
And then he was gone after that.
Like, in all seriousness, how does it feel that personally, like, right, this... I've got a chance now. Was it that
Absolutely,
pressure release?
100%, Chris. And as horrible as it sounds, you're thinking about somebody losing their job. Well, I couldn't have cared less at that point. You don't, do you? And just speaking to my parents, my wife, or my mates, and even the lads, some of the lads have been elated, no doubt as well at that point. And you could just sense the place got a lift because we were in a bad run of form, and it was just a massive sense of relief, I think, from the majority of people, the fans as well at that point. The fans had gone, and it completely turned on.
A very quick break to talk about our bestest of friends in the world of sportswear, O'Neills Sportswear.
I did not think it was possible, but you look even better in that shirt with a tan.
Yeah,
What size are you wearing?
medium.
All the way to 7XL, can I just say?
Which is not bad, is it, for the bigger gentleman or lady?
Not only are they unbelievable quality, but if you've got your own team, you can design, create your own kit. 5-a-side, 3-a-side, 2-a-side, 11-a-side, 12-a-side. Maybe you're just you on your own and you want 5 shirts.
What's the minimum order?
12?
I think 12 is the minimum order.
And
You can have 12 shirts in the wardrobe.
4 to 6 weeks from design to the deliverer, which I think is very, very, very reasonable.
Considering it's custom design.
Custom made.
Yeah.
Very efficient.
Take a look at the Cosh shirts as well. We do 4 different colours, 4
Yes.
different strips.
Yeah. So the link's in the description for the Undr The Cosh shirt and to sort your own team out and get your club kitted out. And like we said, I think you're winning 1-0.
There's
when
nothing
you walk
better
out.
than turning up at an away game looking smart.
Yeah.
Stick a pair of jeans on, stick a corduroy short on.
I'll
Look
go
at
for
$1 million.
pint in this.
Yeah, I think I would have, not the shorts.
So links
Have
in
a
the
look.
description. Get yourself involved. And once again, massive thanks to O'Neills Sportswear.
You will not be disappointed.
Is it Bryan Gunn take over?
Yeah, so Gunny takes over. Brought in Ian Butterworth and Ian Crook, who had all 3 of them legends at Norwich, and just to lift it, that gave the place as well. I think they won the first game. And Gunny had been around the club in different roles. And
How are you feeling about it
But
personally?
he spoke to me and said, listen, I'm going to bring you back in to be around it. And I wasn't involved in the first game. I was miles off it in terms of fitness as well, Chris. I hadn't played. It was reserve games at best. But then I got back into the squad on the bench again and then started a couple of games. We ended up getting relegated that year, though. It was a bit of a sinking ship before the manager got sacked before.
When did he get sacked?
I think it was maybe the end of January, start of February. There wasn't too long left of the season, but as I said, we were struggling for form and confidence when he took over. But the initial lift, but that doesn't last too long, does it? And eventually get relegated that summer.
And did they keep Bryan Gunn on?
They did, and I've got like Granty. This is a running theme here. Granty, Gunny, and other managers give me a new contract when we get relegated that year. Again, I was desperate to stay and be part of it, regardless if it was League One, Championship. Gunny got the job, gave me a contract, and then the infamous Colchester 7-1 defeat.
That's what I mean. If he got given the full-time job, he only got 1 game, didn't he? The next
two. He got the Colchester game, which I think was obviously after that. But we played somebody, Yeovil in the League Cup, and we stayed down because we were playing Exeter on the Saturday. So we played Yeovil Tuesday, Exeter Saturday, and in between he got a bullet from then. And he probably thought it was coming at the time. And brilliant guy, absolute legend at the club, as you know as well, Browny. And you felt sorry for him. Like maybe when we get relegated, maybe if he had his time again, I don't know, he'd have thought, I'll step away from it. But maybe he was desperate as well because of the affinity he has with the club. He wanted to try and put that right, that relegation, which wasn't on him because the club was going down at one point anyway.
So it hasn't tarnished his reputation?
No, absolutely. You know what he's like. Still got a gun club at the club, and obviously his son Angus is playing for him now, and he'll forever be a legend there. I just think the timing of it and things.
It just seems like they thought, I'll tell you what, can't be asked getting a new one, we'll just get Gunny, just keep Gunny.
He was I've said this before. Did he show you houses and stuff when you first signed?
It was
clearly is on money.
I can remember him and Val, who was incredible.
Yeah.
Like, they were brilliant and all that kind of. So he had a number of different roles at the club. He must have been goalie coach at some point as well. Another one, I don't know if you must have been going at this point. He brought his son in, Angus, who's first team goalkeeper now. He brought him into train one day like, on an easier session, whatever it was, and he was a kid at the time, maybe 13 or 14. And Fozzie's hammering him. Who's this kid? I didn't know it was his son. Didn't know it was Gunny's son. He's like, that's my son, Mark. I thought it was horrible, man. He's like 14 years old. Well, give him a break. And a wee 5-0. Absolutely hammered him.
You need to do fucking better there, young man.
Oh, brilliant.
That's why you're not in the team.
Oh, brilliant. But no, he's still a legend at the club, regardless of that kind of thing. So, yeah.
And then Lambert.
What a man. As you know yourself. It just... who did we played Exeter, Brentford, and we were on the bus on the way to Brentford, come up with Sky Sports News, Paul Lambert's appointed manager. And speaking to people I knew in football about him, he was only new into management. He'd been at Livingston, Wycombe, and obviously went to Colchester and turned us over 7-1 that day. And that must have made a massive impression on chief exec and everything at the time. And when I saw that, I'm thinking, oh, here we go, by the way. Like, heard brilliant stuff about him, lads loved him. And he came in the day after the Brentford game, I think we lost. Bottom of the league or thereabouts of League One, so relegated, bottom of League One. He walked in, no briefcase, thrown in the corner, and every day, say just a minute, he's not a massive guy, but just sat back and took notice. This gave you a couple of words, and I tell you this, we're going to win the league. Right? That's what he said, and you're sat there like that. He's mental. Did you see us play last night? But stupidly, and I dare say I'm speaking for everybody else who sat there as well, you believed it. You're like, tell you what.
Did you?
Honestly, Chris, it was like, as stupid as it sounds, you're like, all right then, let's give it a go.
When he said we're going to win the league, did you think that we've got a team that can win the league, or did he fetch folk in? Or?
Yeah, but even though we had a poor start, we kept a lot of the lads from the Championship, and he'd signed good players as well. At the time, I think Doc, Wes, they wanted to leave at that point.
Wes Houlihan.
Yeah, unbelievable player, obviously, for the club. But they were, even when Lambert came in, they were training on their own. But I think Lambert realised how good they actually were. Just to sort of give them you need to up your game. If you want to stay here, kind of thing. And brought them back in. But so we had
so Wes Houlihan were in the freezer?
No, he wasn't quite. Maybe the fridge, maybe not the freezer, but
not in the freezer bit at the top.
But it was just, I think, because Sammy Clingan left, he went to Coventry and stuff. So a few lads left, but we kept a large number of the lads that had been in the Championship. So you had the squad there. We were miles off it in terms of fitness, and it was massive on the fittest team will have a chance of winning the league. The first Tuesday session he done is the hardest training session we've ever done. Or I've ever done. It was incredible. It felt like it went on for hours, and it was just little things. But we did 1v1. Did you ever do that? We had a 1v1 and everybody else round outside of the pitch for 90 seconds, just playing against somebody. Everybody else is a bouncer on the outside. The pitch is, I don't know, maybe 24 yards long, and it's like your legs will go after 30 seconds. Just get through it. Just testing you mentally and all that to see the group of lads he had, and he got us so fit. But he was saying, look, we're going to have to catch us up over the season, lads, because you're nowhere near fit enough to play the way I want to play. But absolutely, at that time, going from where I was before to this guy coming in, I say about the little things. I remember later down the season, Holty, Chrissy Martin, Wes, whoever else get all the plaudits for the goals, but we played Brighton and I cleared one off the line, 2-1 or whatever it was. And he came in, said his stuff after the game. I always remember this. Said his stuff, walked out, but come back in. He's like, by the way, and he knew fine well who it was. And I was getting a bit because I hadn't scored. Oh, Lappin's not scored and this and all. He's like, who cleared the one off the line? And you know what I mean? Sort of putting your hand, that was me, Gaffer. He's like, unbelievable, as good as a goal that, and walked out and see that. Just your shoulders get bigger and you sort of sit up a bit. But it was like with everybody, absolutely everybody.
Just small. That's like Parky. You think everybody
little things that
do
make
that, wouldn't you?
Genius. I think it's genius with the little things. It's not somebody ranting and raving or going on and on. Just little snippets of, and then it's like, I'll run harder for you. And you felt like, see when you are a player, you play for yourself, your family and all that, and people say, I never played for a manager. We played for him. 100% we played for him. It was incredible.
It's a skill, innit? You know, you'd think you'd just do that, anybody would do that, but you've got everything else going on, the pressure of being a manager, thinking about it, and then coming back and just those little things. It's going to make a difference for each individual.
How he does it, the delivery of it, you know, like waiting until everybody's kind of forgot about it and getting changed and whatever, then he'll come in.
By the way.
Yeah. unbelievable. But he could go as well, by the way. Oh my word! The first game we played Wickham, and we were 3-1 up at half time and cruising. But the goal we conceded just before half time, and you're thinking he's going to be delighted with this. He went absolutely berserk in half time and started hitting the tactic or the flip chart board and all this kind of thing, just to let you know that is not acceptable to concede a goal like that from now on. Forget it.
That's
Brilliant.
As big a mentally thing as whoever cleared it off the line. Well done.
Yeah. And all the lads, and everybody just bought into what they were doing.
So how far into that? Sorry, because how far into that? So you obviously got off to a terrible start. How far in did you start thinking, you fucking might be right?
At Parky, honestly, the belief just came. The first game we won, whatever, 5-2 or 5-3, whatever it was. And then we went on a good run of games. And there's always going to be the lull at some point as well, isn't it? It's like the honeymoon period, everybody's riding the crest of a wave. So we went on this run of games, had a bit of a lull, brought another couple in. He signed Russ Martin, Zach Whitbread, a couple of other lads as well. He brought in Fraser Foster as a goalkeeper as well. In between then, it was incredible. And again, you knew, it's not in an arrogant way, this, right? And you guys must have had this as well. See when you turn up and you know you're going to win. You ever had that?
Maybe first round of the FA Cup against fucking
but
Nag's Head.
Not because we're better than you. It was just the way he made us believe that we were. He made me believe I was the best left midfielder in the league, or far from it, obviously. But he made you believe that. So when you were stood in the tunnel, I had it a little bit at St Mirren, and that sort of, not in an arrogant way, nowhere near it. But you just stood in the tunnel like, we're going to run over the top of you today. You just sort of, Chrissy Martin will score, or Wes will do something magic, or you just knew you had something there. And I might be wrong, but I dare say I'm speaking for all the lads that were part of that group. You just had that belief in each other. So
it sounds like you sort of got to the point where you're like, we're 100% getting promoted here. And then you did.
Yeah, and it got, I think, sort of tail end of the season, we had a wee bit of a wobble. Maybe we lost to Orient. But it was a sort of, we won the next two games kind of thing. And it just, that sort of belief just carried all the way through Parky. And we got to Charlton, where we'd been relegated the year before. And we beat them 1-0 to secure promotion, so we were promoted from then. But then we played Gillingham at home the next game, which was a game I was dropped for. Me and Ads at the time, he pulled us into the office. New contract here, Ads. It's weird to do it at the same time, though, isn't it? He's like, you're not playing tomorrow. You're like, what? We never said that. Like, okay, gaffer. But it was only a game we were dropped for, and we both came on, I think, and we won the league that day. So going into the last game of the season against Carlisle, the boys had been on it for 6-7 days. Everybody was absolutely steaming playing that last game. And
were you fine with that? Because obviously, ultimate professional.
He was the biggest advocate of it. He was like, you milk this for everything that you can. Because I think, I obviously knew of him growing up as a Celtic fan, watching him play. Everybody in the United Kingdom, they've known of him at Dortmund, winning the Champions League and everything. So I idolised him to an extent. Didn't tell the lads this in the dressing room or anything, but he was all for the lads, and he was the biggest one of, because he'd won things and it's like, you have to enjoy this when it comes around. I dare say, he did the same, and it was just unbelievable.
Thing is that, like, teams are getting promoted out the Championship to the Premier League, where you think, like, like Blackpool, Huddersfield and that. But I think going from League One up and then Championship up again, I think that's unbelievable how teams have done it. Southampton did it, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah. Did Leicester maybe do it as well at some point?
I think Leicester might have had a year or two consolidating, but...
So after, that's it, he brought in, I was saying, that group of lads, he added to it, right, and the right type, if you know what I mean. Good players, obviously, but he brought in like Andrew Crofts, David Fox, Elliot Ward, Andrew Surman, Jacko. Albie had arrived maybe, tail end of, no, it was Championship. Yeah, Championship, when he came in. And just
Aaron Wilbraham.
Yeah, Aaron Wilbraham, yeah, of course. And, great lads, just fitted into the group seamlessly. Do you know, like sometimes you bring in a new group for the next sort of step, the next challenge, it can maybe upset the balance in the drip, but they just fitted in seamlessly. And so, first day back pre-season, going back to when his first meeting, and he came in, he's like, we're going again. Honestly. And we were like, all right. And that's not in an arrogant way, far from it. And it was like, did he believe it? Maybe not, but saying it to us, we were like, if he's saying it, we're going again here.
It seems a bit like Tony Pulis-esque, where he just gets like good English lads in who he knows can do a job.
Yeah.
British.
Because I'm not
British lad, yeah. British lad. Sorry, a few of them fucking Scott. But do you know what I mean? When Tony Pulis got promoted,
Yeah.
he just used to fetch British lads in who he knew maybe weren't the best players in the world. That's no disrespect to anybody you just mentioned, but they're always 7 out of 10
Yeah.
Consistent.
and sound with that.
Did you find him, Parky, as well, that everything was simple? There was nothing complicated in what they were asking of you. And it was,
Yeah.
if you bought into it, you would run, honestly, you would run forever for him. And
I don't know about that. Try and run more than... but...
When he said that, we're going again, and we're like, all right, we'll see what happens, kind of thing. And never did, in our wildest dreams did we think it would go and happen again. We never won it, but finishing second, it was, wow. It was...
Pinch yourself at the end of
absolutely,
that season.
Chris. Totally surreal. Even thinking about it now, you still get the goosebumps, and it was to actually have done it at the time. You're thinking, how have we been in the bottom of League One and within whatever period of time
2 years.
been in the Premier League?
Your own journey as well, though, where
Yeah.
you've been getting shipped out.
Yeah, and
Not wanted.
I'm saying, me wanting to stick around at Norwich was never for envisaging that would happen, or just because I wanted to be at Norwich, but for that to then happen.
You just didn't want to go back fucking up the
Yeah,
road,
exactly,
did you?
over that wall,
But
all them hanging
I'll
over
just
it.
stop there. It's a shithole. I'm training the kids, but I don't want to go back to Master Scotland.
But then it was,
Consistently in the team as well.
yeah, and I think when they signed, I said, as you go up, you've got to strengthen, you've got to accept it. And they brought in Andrew Surman, because we played a diamond in midfield. I was on the left side of it. And Andrew Surman was the one that came in a bit of competition, which I found out in a newspaper, which is different now. Lying on holiday, that's it, brilliant championship. Oh, shit. Signed Andrew Surman. So you got a bit of competition there. But again, brilliant guy. And played in the team, in and out at times. And then to what, I think it was maybe February, we were playing Leeds away, and my appendix burst. And the doc said they didn't burst, but I'm telling you, they burst the pain I was in. And we were at the hotel on the Friday night, rushed to hospital, ended up there for a couple of days, and I was out. It was really quick recovery from when you have that, if you've ever had it. But I found myself out of the team a wee bit. I was always on the bench, but I was about it. And then towards the tail end of the season, it was in and out again and subs appearances. But I was not going to complain about being around this and being part of it. The lads were the same. Like, you would push each other. We had that. It wasn't like, I'm not playing and I don't want... The lads would push each other. That was your job. If you weren't playing, push the one in front of you. Because if you go beyond them, you're in the team.
Is this did you finish second and QPR finished top?
QPR were...
And Cardiff finished third?
Yeah.
Were you playing my debut for Cardiff?
The half volley, big man.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but...
That was from the left. Where the fuck were you? That was your position, that.
He played that well because he was watching it on his phone on the way here.
I was just thinking, when you said Zach Whitbury, I thought, that's the guy who I pinned, flicked it inside.
I was a sub that day. I was right behind it, actually. And
Beautiful, wasn't it?
oh, what a
Fucking
big
beautiful,
man. What
beautiful.
I did come on, and I think lads count assists nowadays, don't they? I was never a goal scorer, but I think I set up the equaliser. But
At 90th minute, that
Russ, wasn't it? It was Russ put it right in the roof of the net. But so we were down Portsmouth when you played Borough. Is that right?
Did we get beat 3?
And we were in the hotel, and the gaffer's like, don't watch a game, get a sleep. And you're like, not a chance. I've just never blinked for the 90 minutes. And because we were on the same floor as whatever, when Borough scored, lads are poking their heads out the doors and everything. Next goal's in, lads are out tops round the head. Look, nobody's cheering their end because the gaffer, you don't want to hear them. The third one's in, hula hands doing somersaults down the corridor and all that kind of. Because if we won that night, we were promoted. Because you just played earlier.
Yeah, we
afternoon.
played in the afternoon.
So and we went to play him at Fratton Park, and I was a sub at the time, but I sound so cheesy, right? But to talk about the lads, Andrew Crofts, I don't know if he's first team coach at Brighton now, absolute animal, what a guy. And he walked on the bus, and see what I'm saying about just the group of lads, he just sort of looked at you as if to say, we're doing this tonight. You just, do you know what, that, as cheesy as that sounds, and it was like, come on then, and we went and beat them 1-0, and been on the pitch, he put me on the last 10 minutes or whatever it was, and been on the pitch from where I was, to be on the pitch getting promoted to the Premier League, it was like, who could have? You could never have dreamt it, and your wildest dreams never going to happen.
Kind of emotional, yeah.
I know.
Sorry, mate.
I was emotional getting beat fucking 3-0 by Middlesbrough at home. Got me fucking double bubble that
God, I remember watching that. I think you maybe played QPR, and I had to go out the house, watching it, so maybe a couple of weeks before, walking around the garden, just, I can't watch this. So nervous. But that day watching you play Borough, as soon as the first one, and then it was like, please God, just give us a chance, because it was in our hands to go and do it. Sorry, big man.
Who's the funny lad he brought in?
Matty Gill.
Matty Gill.
So,
any crack on him?
Striker?
A midfielder. But he went to the PFA Awards and he's got his business cards made up, unused sub of the year. 2010 or something, he's handing it out to all these Premier League. But how you doing, Matty Gill? Nice to see you. Have a card. That's kind of thing. Just mental, man. Like, brilliant guy. He was just, I remember we went to Vegas, as customary you have to do when you get to the Prem, don't you? And he was just standing there, like the lads with a glass of champagne and a cigar and a prawn that size, like, how am I here? A prawn. This is unbelievable, man. It was just absolutely mental. And he's like, oh, brilliant. What a summer. Absolutely mental. Probably the best time in my football career without shadow of a doubt. Yeah. Of course it was.
Surely to God, on the first day of pre-season, Lambert didn't say, we're going to win the fucking Prem, lads.
He did say Champions League.
Fuck off.
No, he never.
We're going to win it, lad.
I think you're obviously realistic of what we were going into, but even without coming in saying anything ridiculous like that, he's like, don't fear this, by the way. Don't believe the hype of it all. And again, his recruitment, him and Cully, whoever they brought in, fitted in.
Did he fetch like lads in on big money, big signings? Or
he brought in Brad Johnson from Leeds, Elliot Bennett from Brighton, Pilks from, I think Pilks was at Huddersfield, lads that had probably done well against us on the rise up through it, and knew I can get sort of tune out
again, like English.
Yeah, knows what you're going to get from. And again, I don't know if it's maybe something that Paul Lambert bought into, that when Sir Alex Ferguson always know what the type of lads like. And if you bring in the wrong type, it can start off a poison kind of and addressing them. So it was all the right types of lads, again, fitted into it seamlessly. And I think we got off to a good start and a couple of results in the Prem, which settles you down. And it sort of then made you realise, by the way, the gaffer was right. Don't believe the hype. But you know you're going to take a few tankings at times as well. But
did you start that first game?
No. At that point, again, like Chris, when you go up a league and you strengthen, we played Wigan, I think it was. And I'm not saying it was because of that. I had an injury during the pre-season, missed maybe 10 days, whatever, but I was in the stand the first game. But even just thinking, man, if I get a chance to play in the Premier League here at some point down the line, and like you said, out of nowhere, whenever I got my debut, it was travelling all the time, but not involved, and like you'll get a chance at some point, always pulling you, making you feel part of it. Yeah. And he maybe said the same to you, if you're into coaching or management. See the 11 starters, take care of themselves. It's the other ones you need to keep happy to make sure when you need them.
And just little comments.
Parky, he was the master of it for that I've played under. In the debut, I ended up playing Gibbs QPR away, and in the hotel the night before, you're thinking, stand again tomorrow. Not getting downhearted or whatever, but come into the changing room, he's like, going to change it up. I'm like, oh no. Too much pre-match today. I thought, no chance of being involved. I'll get stuck into that. Pre-match was class. And he's like, I'm thinking, right, I might be on the bench. And then when he rhymed out the names, I was maybe the 5th or 6th name on there. And it was like, oh, starting. Didn't have time to think about it. Do you know what? And it was probably a master stroke from and with that as well, because I'd been travelling, watching. Maybe if he told me the Friday I was playing, I'd overthought it. I'd 50 minutes to think about going to play in the Premier League here.
Did you have a moment like in the dressing room beforehand, looking at that badge on the
all that. See people you say that and you think, talking nonsense, cheesy as it sounds, but see when you're playing, I mean, you turn up to training pre-season with the Premier League balls, instead of, it's a Nike ball instead of a mitre ball, and you're like, Premier League now. But see when you see your shirt and the badge and all that, and they're saying, if you told me as a 16-year-old kid when I was at St Mirren with a crossbar, I would have an opportunity to play.
Walking past Greg.
To play in the Premier League. Would never have believed.
That'd been you, like you said, watching match of the day. That'd been your goal.
Straight home match. Never done anything spectacular in the game, but just to make your debut in the Premier League and play there. And God Almighty, man, there's better players than me. Millions of them never played in the Premier League, and just to say that as a kid, like incredible, absolutely brilliant.
How many games did you play?
It was only a handful. Like I've said, that was it, and then it was back out. And I think in total I played 4 or 5, 5 maybe, 4. before the other one was FA Cup. But the last one, I said it suiting to us, was the Emirates against Arsenal. And we drew 3-3. A brilliant result for Norwich going there.
Hell.
And Van Persie, was saying about Nakamura, Van Persie twisted me up in the first minute, like you wouldn't believe. And we were 1-0 down, maybe within about 90 seconds. Oh, this is going to be the longest 90 minutes in my life. I was playing left back. But again, after the game, brilliant lads, all that kind of stuff. And he came back in. I don't know if he came back in or whatever, but by the way, and said whatever, and again, 10 feet tall.
Was that one of the last games of the season, that?
Second last, it must have been.
We watched it in Vegas with a big prawn.
The cigars in the shop.
I remember it randomly. I remember being in the room and it being on. I'm trying to think, did Benno score?
He maybe did.
Well,
weird,
I'll be honest with you, I would have never have known that.
You were too busy getting into prawns.
Especially in Vegas watching football.
I might have been on my fucking 12th or 13th prawn.
It was Jacuzzi Gate that we've spoke about.
Oh, aye. Moving
That
on.
was on in the background.
What a jacuzzi.
I just skipped by that. What was that jacuzzi gate? I'm sure a story for another time. It was the second last game of the season or something. Then got away that summer, but he was leaving that summer. Everybody knew he was going to go to Villa. But end of season meetings, you're thinking, I'm going to have to see what he thinks first, because I knew I had to go at that point. I'd got to the sort of peak of where I was ever going to get to, and I thought, I need to go now. I'm not going to have another season of 4 or 5 games. Brilliant being part of it. I think.
So you obviously stayed up?
Stayed up comfortably as well, Parky. Like, I know we took a couple of downs along the way, but we stayed up comfortably. The lads were incredible.
And what did he sound after the doings?
Yeah, apart from we played Man City away in Big Leon Barnett, my big roommate. Brilliant. Ever come across Barney?
Yeah, I played with him.
What a guy, right?
By the way, you know when you talk about people who you always played well against, you're one of them for me.
For Barney, was it?
Yeah.
Where at? Wigan? Did you play against him at Wigan?
Wigan, Norwich? Sure I did.
He was at Luton as a kid. And then...
Yeah.
I don't know if
Did he play in that game?
He probably would
When I
have.
scored that goal?
It probably would have been him and Wardy or Zach or...
Zach.
But...
Pinned him. Fuck off, Zach.
No, but Barney, we played Man City away and I was in stand again, but got done, I think it was 6 or 7 and coming after the game, and Barney had got engaged. He's maybe told this story before, a few lads, if you get engaged the week up to, as you would, it's your own business, it's your own time that you want. I think he'd done it in a helicopter, like just something that he'd done like a bit different or whatever else, proposed to his missus, coming after the game and like, that's not good enough, and you flying about in helicopters. It was nothing to do with the game. Nothing to do with the course of how the game panned out. He must have just caught his eyes. He was going around, you flying around in helicopters. Who do you think you are? And all the lads are like, what's that got to do with it? Kind of thing. Like,
He's the nicest lad in the world, isn't he, Barney?
Nicest guy in the world, top man. You probably laugh about it now, but it was just the fact, like, what's that got to do? It's Man City kind of thing. But
Just popped into his head.
Yeah. You can imagine what it's like. You know yourselves, when you've had that down, you better keep your head down. But when we got on the bus, it was like, oh, hey, helicopter back, big man. And it was just, brilliant, man. But no, he was fine with it. I think he accepted it was going to happen.
I think, because obviously when he was on here, I think that must have been when he said he should have taken a break.
Yeah.
He said...
He said he jumped to Villa?
I think, if I've got my timeline right...
Yeah. He said
he was kind of, he could feel himself just
losing.
Yeah.
Did you feel that?
He never ever sort of let us think that at all, Chris. Yeah. Nowhere near it, but
fatigued.
Yeah, he probably was drained out. But you think coming in and taking a club from League One and staying up in the Premier League, how mentally draining that must have been for that 3 years for him. But we all knew he was going to go to Villa, and at the end of the year meeting, I said to him, well, what's happening with you? And he was like, well, I don't know yet. But I knew, so I thought, I've got another year left. I just, again, maybe stupidly, and thought, I'm going to hang around and see what happens here.
Yeah. I really like it. Yeah.
So he left, Chris Hughton came in. I thought, I'm going to give this a go. I'm never getting another crack at the Premier League. I'm going to give this a go during pre-season and see what happens with him. But it was myself and Mark Tierney at the time. Ads had left, and we were fighting out for left back up until the first game of the season. He started, I was on the bench, and then he brought in Javier Garrido from, I think he was maybe at Man City at the time. So I knew Greedo was going to play, Tierney was a backup, and I was sort of finished at that point. So
you got the phone call from that cunt. I think we all know what I mean, don't we?
I know where you're going.
That
I know where you're
cunt,
going.
not Vincent Tan, the fucking manager.
I know you've got your gripes, big man, but it was Elliot Ward actually had phoned me. I wasn't playing here. I picked up an injury, and at that time, Cardiff were romping it. I think it was maybe October, November time, and it was like, well, I'm going to go there. Like, probably going to unknown a wee bit. And Andy Taylor was suspended. I knew he was going to play left back the first game, and I chose to go to Cardiff. Just I think it was for 6 weeks to the January transfer window opened. Got off to a flyer, sent off my debut. But I was so it's not an excuse. I could have been sent off for the first booking in the game. In modern day football, it would be a straight red. But the second one was, to this day, is never a yellow, Chris. Honestly, mate. Never. If it was a yellow...
You don't have to convince me, mate.
It was as though you were after vindication.
I was still looking for it. I still can't believe. But talk about endearing yourself to the fans. I'm getting sent off and the Cardiff fans with Ayatollah stuff and the physios like that. You need to do it to the fans like that. They're spitting feathers. I mean, I'm not going to give it, brilliant getting sent off. But obviously, Tails came back in at that point. But getting into that group, brilliant group of lads as well. Similar, no different really to the Norwich dressing room I was in. Hud's was the leader of it all, good Scottish contingent, Marshy, Don, Kev.
Had he got rid of all the deadwood, the bad eggs at this point?
Malky? I'm not so sure. I don't really know. How did I know you were leading me into that? But
He got our at fucking Scunthorpe, I think.
Brilliant dressing room as well. And but I didn't play. I was on the bench when Tails was his boy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Malky's
Tails
boy.
were Malky's boy, to be fair.
And the lads told me that, and I'm thinking, I've just signed here to fill in his left back. But played another game just before my loan ended, and he pulled me. He's like, listen, I want to bring you back in a permanent. And I'm thinking, I've not played, but they've got a chance of going up, and I might be round about that again and knowing what it's like. And do you know what? See, when you go into a dressing room, and if you've been there and you're in and out and you're part of it, the lads were incredible, they were brilliant, but it's hard to feel part of something that you're the late arrival to and you're not playing every week. Yeah. And it was difficult, and my missus stayed here when my daughter was born at the time. She stayed here because we didn't know what was going to happen, obviously. But when it came around and leaving Norwich and everything, I thought, yeah, I'm going to go back there and see if I can fight my way into the team.
What did you sign?
It was only 18 months at the time as well. And I had the chance to go to Forest at the time, and I thought, no, I'm going to go there. I've sort of been there 6
I'm going
weeks.
to go to Cardiff, who were probably second in the league.
Top,
really good chance. Top.
At the time, maybe.
Really good chance of getting promoted. I think I might go to Cardiff.
Might as well get a second promotion to the Premier League under my belt.
Another medal. Fuck it.
I never got the official medal because you need to play a certain amount of games to get the official one.
Was the medal more important or the double bubble on the contract?
I'm still after that medal, big man.
Did you enjoy it on the whole?
It was difficult because, like, first of all, not playing. But even when I signed permanently, I said to my wife, stay here just now, because I ended up staying at the Vale, the apartment's there kind of thing, and I thought, I don't want you uprooting your life. You're happy there just now. So my daughter was born. So I sort of did the commute. Not every day, obviously, but it was staying back and forward. And
how long?
Oh, it's 4.5 hours. I tried to do things properly, Browny, like, to start with, and going back on Sunday night. But see, when you're not playing, it was going up at 5:30 in the morning, driving back there. You didn't want to be in my team in the 5 on a Monday when I'm crawling out the car after driving.
Fozzie would have been turning his hair out with you.
How are you in this team?
It always goes back to Fozzie, doesn't it?
But as I said, brilliant group of lads, but I wasn't playing. It was difficult, and they'd been promoted as well. I was nowhere near going to play in that group as well. And myself and the Bull, Craig Conway, I think we were the two that missed out of the 25-man squad.
And by the way, Bull were a massive part of getting that team promoted.
Wasn't he?
Craig Conway.
Incredible.
And then got fucked off at the 25.
You get through them all. Or you can sit here and rhyme everybody off. But he again, massive, deserved a crack at it.
The only reason he put Kev McNaughton in were because he were a fucking Cardiff legend.
Yeah.
They spoke about that, didn't he? On the...
Yeah, he's been on, isn't he, Kev? Yeah. And then when we got to the Prem, Kev was in the squad. He was part of the 25-man squad, but in and out, well, out more than in at that point. So he became sort of 2 Scottish lads bombed on a Friday out in Cowbridge, lovely wee place in it, Park, you know what it's like.
Beautiful place.
Phoning Jill to say, listen, I know I was meant to come home today, but I'm maybe going to be Sunday before I get back
I've
to
been
say,
with Norton.
which did not exactly bad influence, which, as you can imagine, did not go down well. So it was a difficult time, and I eventually had to get out, and I went on loan to Sheffield United for a spell, which wasn't great either. Low confidence, wasn't fit. Went into a team that was probably struggling under Davy Weir. He got the sack after 2 games when I was there. Done okay, I played a handful of games, but was nowhere near the level I had to be playing regular. I've seen confidence was shot to bits, hadn't played regular.
Was confidence more of a thing for you than fitness?
Yeah, I was fit as a fiddle, Parky. I think lads I maybe played with, I could run all day, never quick, but I could run all day. But match fitness you can't replicate. Like, when you're not playing and you're training, it doesn't come near to what you do in a 90-minute game or whatever it might be. So I was miles off it. Going to a big club like Sheffield United, and they were struggling a bit at the time, so the loan spell didn't quite go as planned and as thought out. And then Nigel Clough came in, it was great, and he said, "You fancy coming back?" And again, this was at the turn of the year. My wife was pregnant with her son, and I was my head was all over the place at the time. So I was like,
thinking,
I said,
I just want to play regular.
100%. So I thought, nah. I said, I'm on the bench. I'm living in a hotel in Sheffield. I'm back and forward to Norwich. My parent club was Cardiff, and I thought, just going to go back there. And Solskjaer had come in, and he was good as gold with me. He knew that I wasn't going to go back in, but I was training with the lads and everything, and he was absolutely brand new, especially when my wife gave birth to my son. But I was all over the place, as in, I don't know what to do here at the time.
You'd think that you get to this point, you'd move the family and you'd go home being Scotland, but you settled in Norwich, where you know where you're going to go. Yeah,
we did. So I went back to St Johnstone. I signed a 2-year, 21 months or whatever it was. And we moved back. And it was great to be home with your family and whatever, and getting playing regular again. Again, I might be wrong, you might be saying the same. See, a Scottish dressing room, you never really meet a bad Scottish lad, and just getting back into that environment. I might be wrong in that. You might be saying the opposite about me.
Top of the wall, innit? Top of the blooming wall.
Get back into that environment, finding a bit of love again for the game. But there was something missing, not just my wife, but me as well, because you make a life for yourself when you're in the one place for a long time. And we never really, stupid as it sounds, going home, we didn't settle. In that second year, we made a decision, regardless of contract offer or not, we're moving back to Norwich to bring the kids up. With no plans whatsoever, not looking to, I want to get back and do something in Norwich City. I just wanted to come back here and live.
Graveyard of ambition, Peter Grant said to me the day I signed, and it's true.
Yeah, but just the amount of lads that still live here now that aren't from here, because it sucks you in, just a nice way of life. And me.
Are you struggling to concentrate as well on this last page?
What have you got a hard on? He's got a hard on.
I'm on the third page of notes here. I don't know whether to fucking ask a question or have a wank.
We're doing his last 5 minutes with no shut up,
There's one name on here, and we both played with him, Crofty. Lee Croft. What a boy, man.
What a boy. But
he doesn't get enough airtime on here, by the way.
Is he been on?
Nah.
You need to get him on, honestly. Thick as 2 short planks, isn't he? And it was like his mum ran his life for him. Like, gave him his pocket money, like his allowance, and like, you're a grown man. Why is your mum running all your money for you? But
Hooks used to babysit him, like,
wasn't he?
Used to be on his case.
The
constantly.
stories that used to come out with, and ended up with Soccery Emmett, these stupid stories about horses and Range Rovers, and
would he make it up? Or?
Yeah, bullshit.
yeah, oh yeah. And then
Is it the Croft the winger who ended up at Huddersfield Oldham?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and when I went to St Johnstone, I'm like, oh God, not this again. The same stories. I'm like, Crofty, I can't listen to it again, mate. It was bad enough the first time.
I'm sure one of them, this might have made Soccer M, he said he was in a lift and the lift broke and went flying down, but he jumped when about 2 yards from the bottom.
So when the left at the ground.
He wasn't there. He wasn't in the...
Oh my God. He would believe it as well. He would believe that happened. It didn't happen, I promise you. But,
saved hundreds in a plane crash. Just like, ready, 1, 2, 3, jump.
He was chunky when he like round the waist and whatever. He was quick when he was younger. But I remember Tommy Wright, the manager at St Johnstone, he was like, Crofty, you're too big. I can't put you in the team. So he was on this crash diet. Do you know what I mean? The lads came in, they were on these stupid diets, and he was like basically fainting, walking in the door, chat the manager's door, Gaffer, look at me, he's like, you're too slow, you're too light, I can't put, he couldn't win.
I remember it, he was 90% head, wasn't he? Because he had a big head even when he was chunky, but he lost his weight.
His head got bigger.
No, well, it's just the same size, but it looked bigger.
He's got bigger.
It's gone. I had a cheesecake, it went straight on my head.
But yeah, what a boy. I had the pleasure of playing with him twice, or the displeasure of playing with him twice, but no, he was a good lad.
So were you for the 80-weight club before York then?
Moved back here, Parky, and it was Hinchy. So the goalie coach at York had been there with Jackie. Knew I wasn't doing anything, and he said, fancy coming up and having a look, see what you think. And Gary Mills was the manager at that point. I thought, yeah, I'll go up and see what's happening. I said,
Did you sign before or after me?
I think maybe a matter of days or weeks, Parky, because Gary Mills, there was a million players when I arrived there. And,
Fucking hell, yeah.
And Gary Mills was saying, I'm going to get ready, like 20 lads, not exaggerating, 20 lads. And true to his word, they did, didn't they? They were all younger lads as well, like, maybe not ready for it. And ended up signing there for, I think I'd only signed at the end of the season.
The only thing I want to know is where were you at in the levels of the pint club?
So I'd get injured my first game, and Hinchliffe like, wait till you see what we do for away games on a Friday, and I'm thinking...
What's his name?
Craig Hinchliffe. So he was a goalie coach. I played with him at St Mirren all these years back, and he's another brilliant guy. And he's like, wait till you see what we do on a Friday. I'm like, oh, train? No, just wait and see. So he never told me. So then you asking the lads, what's happening on a Friday? And I missed the first one that was came around. But the next one we went down, I think we were playing Dover, is that right?
Yeah.
Got to this pub at the Bull, and Gary Mills, Dan Caskey, I think they were maybe already there, because it was where the gaffer lived, wasn't it? And right lads, in you come, sausage and chips is in there. And I'm like, oh, sausage and chips? Are we no training or what?
We're not trained. Not trained Friday.
£2 in that glass, £2 in that glass, £2. That's for killer darts, killer pool, or whatever it was in the Skittles game. If you want to have a beer, on you go, no problem, have a beer, right? So you're sitting, and it's like, who's going to be the first one to move here, kind of thing? John. So he's like, and I didn't know any of the lads, and we didn't know each other, but see from playing against each, he's like, you want one? And I'm like, yeah, I'll have one. Right, as I said, picking it up, going to get the neck out, he's like, same again? I'm like, same again? So it ended up 2 or 3, and then it was carnage, just absolute stag do on a Friday in this pub in the Bull.
So we're in for 10 pints.
When it
By
was
4 o'clock Friday afternoon, when the coach was setting off back down to Dover. Dover was second in the league, by the way. We were rock bottom. Like, what? I felt guilty.
Oh, me as well, Parky, but I wasn't going to say, when it was there, I wasn't going to say no. But you did. I did. I was thinking, how am I going to play tomorrow?
Yeah.
I think I maybe had the 5 or 6. There was lads that didn't drink. Obviously, you get in every group, but
It's a long afternoon if you're not drinking, isn't it?
Oh, but, yeah, you can imagine.
Bored as fuck.
Skittles at best game I've ever played.
How good was it, Parky?
Oh, brilliant.
Easy when you're steaming as well, isn't it? Like, lads are stripping off. They must have been sitting there like, what's going on here? But that bus journey to Dover, when the hangover starts to kick in.
We've probably got another 3 hours.
I win it at least. And you're thinking, oh man, shouldn't like, but you can see what he's trying to do. It just got out of hand far too easily, far too quick.
Came a Matty Fry. This was
my
Dover.
God, what a guy. Very briefly as well. He was sort of finished after that first trip, I think. But
Yeah.
You see the 10 pint?
He were in the 10 pint club, Matty Fry. Both goals, centre half, both goals were his fault. We're losing 2-1 at half time. But I think he didn't help himself, because at one point he got Gary Mills, the manager, Darren Caskey, the assistant manager, under both arms saying, I'm going to be our fucking captain.
And what was he like sober?
Oh, quiet as a mouse.
Yeah.
Never said fuck
Good
all to
lad,
nobody.
No, never said anything, but I remember looking at him in the warm-up and he was whiter than your tops. Oh, and you're like, how's he going to play 90 minutes of football? He didn't last 90, did he?
He got dragged at half time, I think, but both goals his fault. But I don't know if it was genius or not with Millsy. We never lost, did we?
Never lost a game, and we done it a handful of times. I done it once. I snapped my Achilles and came along when I was injured once and lived it to the max. Lived it to the max then, kind of thing. But we never lost when we done it, and it was, you would never hear it. You could see what he was trying to do is in terms of that team bonding and camaraderie and boys together, but it just slipped away.
Too much.
Once it went that third pint, it's game over, innit? It's like lads are too invested in it, and it just descended into a bit of chaos.
But by the time we got our team together, middle of January, I might have put this about this news. Our results would have been top 5.
Yeah.
But we were just too far off it when we signed.
It was too much. And the way we went down Park, goal difference. Somebody scored an own goal in the last day of the season somewhere else, which cost us. Yeah. And I've never seen a stadium so
quiet.
It wasn't booing or not. It was like nobody said anything and just left. It was the weirdest thing ever. It wasn't like booing and you're not good enough and whatever anything else. It was just really strange but horrible because we had the group to do it, and you said it was maybe just too late when we got the run together.
So, pleasure, mate. We're going to get kicked out of here, I think.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys. Brilliant. Great to see you.
Have you got any tissues? I think you want to take one off the wrist. Don't you? You'll have 5 minutes in there.
You really enjoyed that.
You're beautiful there, but I think you've got even better.
Yeah. No.
You are.
You are. See all these filters and things, I think, on that one, but...
Get shit off, let's have a comparison.
It's not like that now, I tell you.